Hello, my name is Chris Kutzmarski, and I've been a journeyman tool and die maker for over 15 years. And I work at a company called Kuhlander Engineering, located in San Clemente, California. And today we're going to go over all the components in a high precision progressive stamping die. Let's get right into it. So right here we have the lower half of the progressive die, and right here we have the upper half of the progressive die. The lower half is going to bolt down to the bottom of the press, and the upper half is going to bolt to the upper part of the press, and this is the part that's going to actually move up and down. Now this, as I go over all these components, this is not an exhaustive list of every single component that's in every single progressive die. They're going to vary depending on who's building them and what's in them, but this is just all the components that happen to be in this progressive die. So let's get right into it. So right here we have the die set. You're going to have a lower die set, and you're going to have an upper die set, and that's where all the components, the frames, are actually going to bolt to the die sets. The lower half, you're going to have bushings into the plate, and the upper half, this one happens to have ball bearings. Some of them can actually just be straight pins, but the ball bearings are actually better. So yeah, so the die sets, the frames are going to bolt to the die sets. So now looking at the lower half of the die set underneath, we're going to have all sorts of holes and cavities. For instance, we have a cavity here. This is for the slug to pass through. Any section that does any cutting, the slug needs to go somewhere and needs to drop out. So we'll have either clearance holes or cavities for the slugs. We have different slug clearance cavities here. We have holes to mount the frame. We have threaded holes for springs, small knockout holes. Every hole has a purpose. So this is the lower die shoe. So before I show you the upper die set and all its holes, I want to show you this plate. It's actually called a top plate, and it mounts to the top of the die set. And the purpose is to back up all of the springs and to mount to the press. And also it has, we add knockout holes so we can knock out some of the components without having to remove this plate. And this is the upper die set now, and you can see there's just lots of holes similar to the lower die set, but more springs. We have spring holes, mounting holes, punch backup holes, threads, etc., etc., etc. Holes, lots of holes. So again, that's the upper die set. Now let's go back to the lower die set, and let's talk about the frame and the strippers and all the components that are on here. But first I'm going to remove these strippers so we can see some of the components underneath. Now let's talk about the lower frame and all the elements of the lower frame. So right here, let's talk about the cavities. We have a cavity, a cavity, a cavity, a cavity. These are actually, call them cavities, but they're all different station, different station, different station. And in a progressive die, every single station performs a different operation. It could be cutting, it could be forming, it could be coining, it could be extruding, it could be lancing. Yeah, so every single station is going to perform some type of different operation, and these are the different cavities and or stations in this die right here. And we have these are actually clamps that hold down the station. So we got lots of different clamps for each of the stations. We have a little lifter here where we need to lift the material up a little bit. We have threads which mount the frame to the die set. Threads, 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 threads. We have dowel pins right here. Dowel pins actually locate the frame to the lower die set in case we need to remove it and do any work to it. And these ensure that the frame goes back exactly in the same location, so we don't lose any precision. So the lineup stays really good between the top and the bottom. And we have, these are pilot bushings. The pilot pins come in from the top, and actually that's what locate it. So it's very accurate from station to station. We have an air blow off here. We have small stationary strippers. We have, these are very precision holes for the strippers. They're very, very precise holes that the strippers can ride up and down in. And we have return springs here to essentially push the strippers back into their original position so the strip can advance. So if I slide the die over a little further, we have a material guide. It simply just guides the material in the proper location. We have more bushings right here. These are actually cutting bushings. These are not pilot bushings. These actually cut holes, and those are the holes that the pilots actually locate off of. These two are stops along with these. These were removed previously so I could access the strippers. But the purpose of a stop is to set the height. So the top die set comes down and basically sits right on these so we can have a very accurate height every time we set it up in the press. Now these are the strippers, and the purpose of a stripper is to strip the material off of the punches and the pilots. When the upper die set withdraws, if you don't have a stripper, it would just yank the entire strip up, and the purpose of these is to keep the strip down so they don't get pulled up. That's just a basic purpose of a stripper, but these strippers are ultra precision strippers. You can see there's little cavities in here that are the same shape as the punch. The purpose of these is to guide the punches very accurately into the dies. Since the material we're running is extremely thin, it's only 0.003 thousandths of an inch. The clearance between the punches and the dies is very minimal. It's very tight. And to get the precision lineup, you need a precision fit and a precision alignment between the stripper insert and the die. So yeah, so let's take a look at one of these strippers up close. We have, let's look at this one. We have inserts in there. We have mounting holes. We have bushings. We have these precision pins. We have also a backup on here called a stripper cap, and that essentially just backs up the bushings and the inserts so they don't slip out. And I'll show you here. Holes into the lower die set just so you can see how it works, and it goes in the holes and just kind of springs up and down. And we have these little clamps that go in here, and I'm not going to bolt it on now, that essentially just limit the travel. And these go up and down, putting pressure on the strip when it's about to cut through the material. Now this is the top frame, and on the top frame we have a top stripper. It's very similar to the other strippers, except this one is very specific in the way it attaches to the top frame, but it has the same purpose. And we have individual stations, and I left a few stations empty just so you could see what an empty cavity looked like. We have pilot pins, the same type of clamps that are on the bottom. There are bushings in there. These are spring-loaded pins that put pressure on the strippers right before they cut through the material. And if I slide it over, we have some more pilots, and we have some pierce punches that cut the holes for the piloting. Now you're an expert on components in a precision progressive stamping die. If you guys have any questions, post them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. I'll see you guys in the next video.